All right,
Hello.
let's talk about the first boss. I think we did really bad. I think we're doing really good on the second boss though, but I think we did really bad on the first boss. Let's see.
Yeah, you guys are going pretty quickly through this boss now, and we were talking about why those reasons are that you're doing that, and
Why?
we'll get to it eventually. But well,
Are they
the
secret?
no, not so much. The first boss, you had a lot of fundamental misunderstanding of mechanics.
Oh,
Just
you can just say it. You can just say that we're trash. It's okay. I won't.
No. It was you didn't actually understand what was going on in the fight, and you didn't interact with the mechanics correctly, and you went to incorrect solutions. So you were stuck on the same places, or you'd sometimes chance past places without ever actually solving it, and cause just no progression there, and you'd keep getting stuck at one certain point. Whereas in this case, you've done a much better job of actually identifying what the cause of problems are, and how to solve them. More importantly.
Yeah, I feel like we've literally taken like one pull on every single mechanic on this fight and have like moved past it and had steady progression. So that's pretty good on the current one we're on. Now on this one, let's just start from the beginning. So, am I streaming in Discord? I think I am. Yeah, I am.
Oh yeah. So now that you've killed it, I can go over kind of a couple of details here.
Okay. Yeah.
First thing is that
Go
when
ahead.
this fight comes out, you do not have full crafted gear, because it's the first turn and your crafters are currently going to gather the materials and start crafting. So you are 10 eye levels above here, but this is the fairest way we could do it. This isn't a day one progression. This is a week one progression experience. Right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you're beating the enrage there pretty comfortably with, not the cleanest of runs and definitely not the cleanest of strategies, but that's partly eye level and partly it's the entry level. It's the first savage fight of the expansion. Is going to be tuned pretty low.
Yep. Okay, so this Vice and Virtue, very simple. I think like the thing we didn't realize initially was that like all of the Vice and Virtue mechanics specifically in the second phase are inverse. So it's like in this or kind of, right? Like this go ahead.
This bothered me so much. Max, Ninja Max brought it up the first time you saw it. He literally said, wait, everything's just backwards. And nobody said anything. And
Yeah.
you just ignored it.
Well, okay, so I was under the impression from when I did this before, there were like because my experience here before was very strange. Yes, I did it, but I didn't understand everything because I was the only person blind. The other 7 people had all done the fight. So there were so many things being done that I never even had to have explained to me why they were done. So I basically knew how the tank swap worked with the spear or whatever, and then I didn't understand. So like, for example, I didn't know that it was soaked, but like the other things quickly made sense to me that it was that, but when Max said everything was inverse, I actually like knew 2 of them were, but it didn't piece together for me the other tank mechanic because I guess like people just soaked it and I didn't remember that.
Yeah, so
Me,
before Vice...
when you
sorry,
said it
Karen.
was inverse, I thought it's not true because the tank mechanic was the same as in the first phase, I thought. Because you must have like immuned it or something the first time. So I didn't realize that it's different, and therefore I thought, oh, it's not inverse, because otherwise the tank mechanic would have also been different. But yeah, then we realized it is actually different.
Yeah. So something even before Vice and Virtue that you guys didn't quite figure out, it's not super intuitive, but now kept bringing it up, was that the Eden's gravity is like percentage HP damage based. So you can't use mitigation on it. All you can do is shield. So with now and like Uggo Baby getting fucking trucked every single time, it's because you're actually taking this. Right? Yeah, you're actually taking the same percentage of your HP bar as the DPS is. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah, but you need to run away, right?
No.
You run away from it.
You cannot do anything about it. It's just percentage HP based damage.
It's just percentage.
And I popped my stuff and I was like, how am I still dying?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, so that's something we just didn't really know before, but there's like 3 different types of damage in this game. Well, there's multiple types, but I think I read up on it earlier. It was like there's physical, and then there's a few things that fall under the physical tree. There's magic. There's a few things that fall under that. And then there's something called breath, or as I guess the community refers it to, like darkness damage or something. Yes. And then like, and that is unmitigatable completely. And I think that's what that...
Breath isn't unmitigatable. You can't use things like Addle on it, but you can use like your Shadow Wall will work, for example. But what you're seeing here is something completely different. This is just a percentage HP raw number.
Okay.
That cannot be interacted with. Yeah.
Okay.
This is, So learning that is kind of, the only way you can really tell is if you manually look at the exact number that you're taking compared to your max HP. But it does a shit ton of damage.
Okay, and then the spear he asked me and I told him how it worked. You just, it's you taunt during the cast, and there's 2 swings, and if you taunt during the cast, and whoever it starts on is getting the first one, and if you taunt during it, it gets the second one. Like
Correct.
which is weird because WoW tank swap mechanics are just absolutely and completely different from that. So it's
Oh,
not
really?
it's
not
nothing close in WoW is how that would work. Yeah, it's very, very different. So that's like partially why that was weird to figure out, but also for him really. Going forward, the dimensional thing. So this is interesting. When I did this with you, the strat was actually, because I was doing it kind of blind, we didn't do an uptime strat, but what people kind of ran around randomly, and then right at the end, they would just everyone would just bait their beam out. So like just like we do. Go ahead.
The start of this is that people weren't running around randomly. Something you missed very importantly is that those AoEs, the big circle ones, get placed on the 4 furthest people away from the boss. So you can have the melee just sit in the middle and tunnel.
And the range run around?
And the 4 range just run around, and they just count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then go to their...
Oh, that's smart. Okay. Well, I mean...
Wait, can you say that again?
Yeah. So before at the Paradise Lost cast bar,
yeah,
the big circle AoEs that you guys are kiting around in a circle in the middle, those are only on the 4 furthest players away. So 4 ranged players just run away from the boss.
Too.
You can be though, because
wouldn't
you're a triple
but
circle.
do casters lose any damage while moving?
They can make it so that they lose very little.
Well, wouldn't the better thing to do then to bait it on melee, and the melee run in a circle, and the ranged plant, and then the melee lose 0 uptime by just strafing in a circle like everyone else?
That is something you can do, but it can just create awkwardness about getting that bait on them in the first place.
Oh, okay.
But that is something you can do. Yeah.
I did not figure that out, and to be completely honest with you, I think we could have pulled this boss 1,000 times, and I never would have figured out that Paradise Lost was always on the same person, and because we would have never taken a pull to figure out that at a snapshot cast. Yeah, exactly. Like
why only 4 people?
We would have had to be spread. We would have had to never stack up. If we never stacked up, and everyone had their own spot, people would realize that it would go on them every time. But being stacked, we would have never figured it out.
But it worked, right?
Yeah, and then funny enough, we came up with a strat, which is this strat common with us dealing with the orbs?
Oh, it's incredibly North American.
Yeah.
What is that? Is that like derogatory? Like, are you
it's just
North
like
America, or
zero fucking brain.
Yeah. Oh, Jesus. Okay.
Okay.
Wow.
I mean, I have less IQ than ever on average in the world. So.
It's an NA strat. Like, this was actually the pug strat that was used pretty commonly, and the fact that you came up with it in a progression environment is pretty sick. It's really, really good because it puts the burden of execution on so few people, but it burns a tank and vuln. So one other
you
thing
don't really need tank and vulns in this fight, though, right?
No, you don't. They're really good for recovery and for things like that. But something that strat does do is if someone dies before it, it means that you're not instantly losing someone else, because the laser that they would have to bait would kill the next person, right? So you cascade deaths at that point.
Yeah, so like the other strat for you guys who are here, like the strat that I've seen or that they did when I was doing it, they like run in a circle and they get and then after this one, everyone just runs to their fucking orb in like 3, 2, 1, beams go off, and then a beam will just shoot in every direction out. So just everyone would be next to you, just have your own orb assigned, and everyone would just bait their line outside of the room. That's like the other way to do it. Is there another way to do it?
There are uptime ones where you have like some people outside, some people inside, with slightly offset, and you get the angles perfect, so all the melee can hit the boss. But there's not a progression strat.
Yeah, there's 0 chance we would have done that on progression. Yeah. Okay.
So the thing that you did struggle with after that mechanic, though, was the boss jumping away from you and you having to sprint across the room and people getting clipped.
Yeah, so I did notice something with that. So I noticed that it could never jump on us, which means it had some kind of like thing that was picking someone and jumping away from them. And I think sometimes...
So
go ahead.
What actually happens is it's getting off-centered a tiny, tiny bit, and it always jumps to the furthest corner away from where it is.
Where what is? The boss?
Where the boss is.
How do you move the boss?
By having the tank who's on it. Because what was happening, right, is if you had threat at that point, it would slightly come towards you at the end of that mechanic by like a pixel. And it going towards you by like a pixel would push it the complete opposite direction.
Oh, so I should have taunted him and just ran and he could just have stayed.
Yeah. Would have solved a lot of problems there.
Yeah. But I mean, I don't think that's a big deal, because even if it goes far here, you just sprint and you make it every time. So I mean, that shouldn't be a problem. Okay, so we get pure light. That's fine. Dimensional shift. This is how we were doing our things. I think we could be better at pre-planning these on harder bosses, but like there needs to be like cooldown sets. So like when I do Reprisal plus Dark Missionary, that should always be like Cam's Addle. And when Now does his CDs, it should always be Nagura's Addle, and then healers do their own thing. Like as long as we attack... Go ahead.
The way that it usually works is you'll have a tank who gets first reprisal, a tank who gets second reprisal, and in a double caster combat, a caster who gets first addle, a caster who gets second. And you just cycle through things that way.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I mean, you obviously can't mitigate some of these spells. I'm not talking about mitigatable spells.
Yeah.
I'm just talking
All the
about
gravity stuff,
actual things that could be mitigatable. Yeah. So let's see. Here, what's the... Or no, this was the ad phase. So we didn't think we could stack them right away, and I'm pretty sure the reason why is because we let one of their casts go off, and we tried to stack them, and we died, and we assumed it was because we stacked, but it was because a cast got off. Also, there was multiple casts, and we all assumed that they were the same cast, and it's just the first one that, like, matters for mana boost.
That's just a matter of unfamiliarity with the in-game indicator, right? Telling you that. But now you know.
So yeah, we stacked them. I think one mistake I made, and maybe you guys were doing this too, is like we were using like some damage CDs, and that's fine in this phase, but like me using Delirium right now, which is like a big 1.5 minute for me, I should have never done that because it's not up for the beginning of the boss phase, and we absolutely don't need it to phase this in time. So like I feel like we should have done better at like making sure that all of our cooldowns are always up at the end of this cutscene, knowing that we were ahead in this phase.
When you get super comfortable with it, particularly in progression, you don't need to commit CDs to that at all. Pour one out for that Phoenix that got spent right at the end there.
Yeah, that time we were juicing it. Normally the Phoenix lasts.
How'd you guys feel about the cutscene?
I loved it, especially like the third time.
That's rough.
Yeah.
The cutscene's rough. Are there a lot of fights like that?
There's a couple. I
Please
think
tell me what's
that one
that
is
one.
the longest one. I think it's that one, yeah.
Okay, so yeah, this tank mechanic, yeah, like you said, Max apparently said it at the very beginning, like everything's inverse or whatever.
It took us way too long to
And
figure this out. This is where we,
Yeah,
like,
it
lost
took
the
it.
most
It
time.
did take us way too long to figure this out. That's for sure. We were like comfortable with it being a problem, and then like we would just res, but like we should have figured it out. Yeah, Vice and
Yeah,
Virtue
so-
we figured out pretty quick though. Where is this correct, by the way? Vice and Virtue.
Yeah,
here?
it's just ped sex. That's all it is.
So okay, this was the thing that we just kept lucking through. This is
So you don't even... Oh
we
my... Okay,
no
all right.
no we never understood this at all. And we just
Which one?
committed to
Oh, I know.
like having the healers be out so we don't have to soak the big fire hit.
All right. What
And-
happens in the first Delta attack? Tell me all the mechanics that happen in the one that doesn't like have this buff on it.
I'll rewind it and we can watch it while I say it. So Delta attack goes off. There's like 2 people in every corner, and there's like a cross of lightning that would kill you. So you have to be in the corner,
And the circle.
and everyone in here gets hit by fire.
All right. So if you pause right now,
Yeah,
let's break down all the mechanics. There are spreads. What's the opposite of a spread mechanic?
a stack.
A stack.
Turn around.
What's the opposite of a circle in the middle? A circle on the outside. Yeah. The only thing that isn't
Everyone just needs
immediate.
a stack?
Yes, everyone except for the tanks. The only thing that isn't immediately intuitive is that the lightning turns
Okay.
into a tank buster on each tank. That's the mechanic. The
cross?
6 others stand behind the boss. The 2 tanks stand front left and front right of the boss.
No, but we didn't get double lightning.
Yeah, we didn't get. Only one of us was getting lightning.
Yeah, someone else got a lightning all the time.
Well, it's on the 2
Because
highest.
they were in front.
There's 2 lightnings. The very first pull that you saw this and you looked at the footage, Cams was sitting in the corner getting thunderbolted, while Now was right next to the boss getting thunderbolted, and you didn't see it. You were paused on the frame
There-
seeing it for like 3 minutes, and we were losing our fucking minds.
Well,
I did
also,
see that Cam's got it, which
well,
is
what I'm
didn't
so
realize it had to
confused.
do with
There
aggro.
was a pull where I was alive, and Now was alive.
But were you second on threat?
No, I just got rezzed.
Yeah, that was the pull. That was the pull.
Okay,
where
Oh,
Cams
no.
got it.
okay,
That's
but that there's no fucking way. We had no idea that being second on threat meant you got tank mechanics until right now. You know,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
I just
it's a-
assume if you're a tank and you're
Wait,
alive,
no,
you
it-
get tank mechanics, right?
I knew that actually because I died one pull because you guys died and I got hit by this fucking spear of paradise. So that's my fault for not bringing that up, I guess.
Well, now we know, I guess. So yeah, so in this first one, everything is inverse. There's a frost thing in the middle, so on the next one, the frost thing is on the outside. On the fire, you have to spread with here, so on the next one, the fire you're supposed to stack. And Okay, so we actually would have figured that second Delta attack out way earlier. We just got hard baited by exactly one thing. We watched one VOD, and the one VOD we watched with everyone alive had Cam's second on threat because I just got res, so we assumed it went on 1 DPS. We never were under the realization that 2 lightning things went on a tank, and honestly, I don't even feel bad about that. I feel like because of the VOD we chose to look at, there was no way for us to know that. We just assumed there was going to be a lightning on the DPS every time, which is why. So because of that, I like the problem solving we did. The problem solving was, oh, well, 1 lightning's going to go on a ranged, and we're just going to soak that as ranged. We didn't identify that lightning actually isn't like soakable, and then we're just going to kill the 1 healer who gets it, and we'll just res them and deal with it later. I feel like that's totally fine.
Yeah, that's like a result of not using multiple sets of footage to compare and contrast, but it's like it's an easy fight. It works at that point. Who cares? Just get through it. So yeah, the thing that was killing the 1 healer was actually the fire stack going on just the healer and them not being next to anyone.
Yeah, that makes sense. So like when we were all behind the boss, it was like the DPS, we were all getting hit by fire, right? Because fire is in the cross. Okay.
Yes. So the times that the healers would live, it would like clip 2 DPS and they'd all get down to 10k HP, but nobody would say anything.
We do the cutscene. Let's go back to the next Delta attack. So the Delta thing, yeah. So wait, the reason we
2 lightning resistance downs.
Yeah, and the reason I should have saw that. So Delta attack goes off, and Lumi. So the reason why people got clipped was because the healers were not where we said they should be. But that's good because we accidentally did the mechanic right. Where if they were out here, they would have died every time, but they were on those markers cleaving people. Oh, wait, hold up. Oh, yeah, look at my debuffs right now. I get 2 lightning defense downs, or lightning resistance downs. I still am okay with that. Like I said, you have a lot
of mitigation right now. So you should be dead, but you over-mitigated this buster, essentially.
Yeah, exactly. But like the 2 tanks spreading out or whatever in front, we decide to stack as tanks, then we just always did it. And seeing everyone alive and a ranged get the supposed second tank mechanic, unless we were going to pull again and be willing to spread out or something, like I feel like we would have never saw it any differently, just because we had no clue that being second enmity made you get tank mechanics.
Right. That makes sense. I mean, coming from WoW, you probably wouldn't notice that.
No, absolutely not. Okay, spear next. That's normal. We ended up figuring that out. So spear's not inverse at all. It's just vice and virtue. That's the only thing that is inverse. Okay, so this phase, our initial strat, I feel like we knew, we like pretty quickly came to the conclusion of what we ended up doing in this phase. It's just that we came here 2 times, which is a long pull, and then we baited it in the wrong spot on accident, and then we like wiped in P2 a bit, so we didn't come back for a while.
Yeah, so the bigger problem was that you're at this point, but you hadn't properly solved the Delta attack that just happened before.
Correct.
So you were trying to progress this point on a very inconsistent Delta, and then like it just led to a lot of inconsistency through here.
Yeah. So we ended up pointing everything away. I think you could optimize it even a little more, but it would just... first of all, are these ever random? Are they random every time?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
There'll always be 2 and 2, but which ones they are is...
So what you could have done then to have no one ever have to move ever is if this one is going this way, you could always point it there. And if that one is going, this way, you would point it there on this pole. Instead of pointing it at the wall, you could point it there, and you could everyone could stand in the middle, you never move an inch. When you point it away, at the very end, you have to move like 1 yard to not get hit. Very minor, but yeah.
Another small optimization here is that you can get 3 target cleave as like a tank, and you can get a melee LB, a caster LB to hit, a lot there. But
would you ever want a caster LB in this? Oh, it hits the boss.
It hits the boss.
Ooh, I like that. Caster LB. Ooh.
The LB choice was
actually
actually something that I wanted to talk about.
Yeah, I was thinking about the cast because you never use it because it's AoE. And I set this on my stream as well. I thought, oh, we could like limit break the caster one. But then I realized that they are dying so fast every time that we don't need it. So I was like,
yeah, but then you just get to
waste, right?
mega pump the boss. But
Yeah,
in terms
I
of your LB usage, there was a pull that you got pretty early on. It was maybe like 4 or 5 pulls before you killed it, where you made it through this phase and then you threw out a melee LB3, and then you wiped to the next mechanic with a healer alive. So that was a potential kill that, had you held on to the LB3, could have potentially been saved.
No, yeah. If we didn't rip the melee, if we didn't rip the because I was just assuming that this was going to be a harder DPS check. So like, if I thought there would be basically 0 DPS check for what we were doing it with, then I would have never ripped it. But it was all.
Yeah.
I mean, that was just definitely a mistake.
I can give you the
What's up?
the general gist of the tuning for this tier. They came out and said beforehand that what they do with the first tier of any expansion is they just take it and they just numerically tune it down, like 10%, I think was the total number they gave us, because everyone's learning essentially. So it's not as numerically difficult in terms of damage requirement. The bigger deal here is that you're 1 overgeared and 2 it's tuned down a little bit. But as you progress through the tier, you will still hit walls in terms of damage. That is a given.
Okay, so this is just P1 again. So this was easy. So I'm assuming this fight just rotates P1 and P2. That's just all it does.
Yeah. So the last thing that happens that you killed it right at the start of is it does another P2 section where it puts the buff on itself again. It cycles through all those mechanics. You know how to deal with that already. Even if like you had a scuffed pull up at that point and you needed to go another 30 seconds into the fight, you would have been able to handle that all, no problem. And then the boss enrages straight after that.
All right, cool. And yeah, I feel like we're dunking on the second boss. I could be wrong though. Every time we've seen a mechanic, I feel like we've very quickly identified what the cause is and moved on pretty quick. So that's nice.
I think there's been a much better flow of communication, which has definitely helped that. Oh, that's right. Cyril jumped into the wall.
No, man.
Wait, what happened?
Dude, I ran into the wall. That's why I didn't even get hit by the cucumber. I ran into the wall when I was running back.
Yeah, but like, okay, but there was something else going on in your brain too, because you
so
started.
I'm used to WoW, where when I'm reading a mechanic, I literally just read the first word or like the first like 5 letters, and I know what the mechanic is. So I see pure here, and I think it's like another set of like lasers, because those are also called pure.
Oh, pure beam, yeah.
Yeah, and my brain freaks out that we're about to like wipe at like 10%, and I panic. And I just run into the wall. Dude, let's not talk about it. That's not happening again.
I want to know your guys' opinions on this fight now that you've done your first Savage fight.
I don't know. It's hard to tell because I think we did like extremely bad for what I would expect. So I don't have. Wait, like, can you be more specific?
More or less the learning experience. Like, how do you feel like you went through the fight, not just as a group and, your performance, but the fight itself and the structure and the puzzles and those sorts of things? Because this is like a very, very introductory level into Final Fantasy Savage combat.
I don't know. It felt like everything made sense.
Yeah, I mean, I feel the one thing that would probably annoy me if I have to do this like all the time is the fact that the fights are so incredibly long, and then if you get a mechanic at the very end that you don't know how it works, and then you have to like test multiple theories because you have no logs or anything to look at other than like a VOD, and then the thing happens where people are dead, and then you don't know, is this actually how it works, or was it just because Cam's is second on aggro instead of the second tank, And if that happens like 10 minutes into the fight, then it's like, oof, you have to get there like 5 times.
Yeah, like just think about a different scenario. Think about Cam's not being second on enmity by me either taunting or not having died to the previous thing. And us never thinking that lightning goes on DPS there, we would have killed that boss like 45 minutes faster. Like that one thing baited the absolute fucking shit out of us. So yeah, I don't know.
That's a big part of Final Fantasy progression though. Being consistent to the point where your progression point is real, untainted data gives you huge value.